Hi guys, how are you? It's been a couple of weeks since I filmed, and I've been reading and I haven't really filmed any book reviews, and I apologize for that. I really want to, and I will soon, hopefully later this week, but I did want to jump on here and at least film a video to let you know what I've read recently, what I plan to read later this week, and just some things that I have and some cool books that I have my eyes on, because I want to read so much and yet it's so hard to read everything. What have I read the last couple of weeks? A couple of weeks ago I read The Stepford Wives, which was an interesting book because previously I had only seen the film, and the film is creepy, weird, super interesting to think about. And then when I heard that it was a book, I decided to read it, and it was really good, so I really want to review that. The other book that I read recently is called The House on the Cerulean Sea, and I had been seeing that one all over BookTube for a while. Everyone and their mom seems to be reading it, and everyone seems to be loving it, and oh my gosh, you guys, it's so well worth the hype. It is beautiful, it is so pure and heartwarming, and it made me cry, so I can't wait to review that one as well. If you haven't read that one, I highly recommend that so much. It's probably one of my favorite of the year. Easily one of my favorite of the year. Besides that, what I'm currently reading right now is Ruin by John Gwynne. This is the third book in the Faithful and the Fallen series, and it's so good. This book, I'm actually not reading the physical book. I checked out the ebook from my library, so I have been reading it on my Kindle. The reason for that is not because I'm super lazy and it's heavy, but it's because I don't want to damage this book. These editions, for some reason, when I read the first and the second book, I cracked the spine and I tore them up, and they look horrible now. You know, taking it to work, having it in my bag, they get so damaged so easily, and I wanted it to stay pretty because I just wanted to stay pretty. So I checked out the ebook, but I am reading it. I really love it. I've been taking my time with it. I feel like fantasy takes me a lot longer to read. I don't consider myself to be a slow reader. I'm more of like a mid-range reader, in my eyes at least. But I'm just taking my time. I love the characters, I love the world, I just don't want it to end. And I know there's just one more book, but then there is another series by John Gwynne, which is technically in the same world, I think. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. That's what I've currently been reading the last week or so, and I'm only 20% of the way through the book, so I'm not very far. I am reading very slowly, but whatever, it's fine. I have accumulated some books. I did pre-order a book not too long ago, and when I received it, I was so happy because it's by one of my favorite authors. I consider this author one of my favorites, and that is The Tower of Fools by Andrzej Sapkowski. He is the writer of the Witcher books, which The Witcher is one of my favorite series of all time. It is just incredible. If you haven't read the Witcher books, you need to read the Witcher books because Geralt, Yennefer, Dandelion, all of them, they're just amazing. Anyway, so The Tower of Fools is actually a series that is pretty old by this author, but you know, this author is Polish, so all of the books that he has written have been in Polish, and this series I think is barely getting translated to English. So when I saw the notification that this was coming out, I pre-ordered it, I have it, I own it. I believe it's historical fantasy, and I've heard mixed things about this book, but I still really want to read it. Hopefully it doesn't sit on my shelf for months, years, until I get around to it. I hope to read it soon. Convince me to do so, because I have a thing. If I buy brand new books, they just sit on my shelf. There's so many books that just sit there for years, for months, forever. Anyway, two other books that I have here were given to me by a friend at work. I call her my book fairy because every once in a while she gives me some books. One of the books that she gave me was The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon, who I believe is the author of The Prior Year of the Orange Tree, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I have no idea what The Bone Season is about, but I have heard good things over the years, I think, I want to say. I'm not entirely sure. I'm intimidated by this, definitely, but she says it's really good. So if you've read The Bone Season, let me know. I think it's a series as well. The other book that she gave me is the second book in a series, so now I have to read the first. It's called A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a Blood and Ash novel. It is the second book, like I said. I have requested the first book from my library, so we'll see if I get that anytime soon. I feel like it had had weeks and weeks on the whole time, so I guess it's really popular. I think this might be fantasy as well, but I think it's leaning towards the romance side. I think this author is really known for the romance in her books. As far as I know, I've never read anything from her, but I have heard of her. So we'll see. I'm also very intimidated by this as well. There's also a ton of books that I have on my Kindle that I have just been accumulating because I have Kindle Unlimited, because I have my library on here. There's just so many books that I want to read, and I just don't have enough time to read anything, I feel like, but that's fine. Some of the books that I have on here that I have just accumulated free from Kindle Unlimited are Brandon Sanderson. I've never read Brandon Sanderson, but now I have Words of Radiance. I also have The Way of Kings, both of which I don't think I can read right now because I haven't read anything in the Cosmere. I think I requested Elantris from my library because I think that's where I want to get started with the Cosmere. I have no idea the order in which I should read his books. I did watch Elliot Brooks' kind of her guide to the Cosmere books, and so I think I'm gonna follow one of her guides to reading, but honestly I don't know where to start. I own Mistborn, so I don't know if I should just start reading the first book or if I should read Elantris first, or maybe I should just read by publication. Honestly, I don't have a clue, so we'll see. I really want to get into Brandon Sanderson. I have just been staring at his books longingly for the longest time, so I think I should finally just do it because I think it would be fun just to fall into the world because there's just so many books in that universe. How many books are there? Over 10 probably? I don't know. Another book that I have on here is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This is a book that has been getting a lot of hype on BookTube. It seems to be about this woman who lives for a very long time. I think she is immortal perhaps, but then people forget about her after they know her. They don't remember her or something along the lines of that. I don't really want to know anymore because I feel like that is intriguing enough to where I just want to fall into the book and find out. And I have read one book from this author before. I've only read the archived. I've never read anything else from her, but I've always been interested in reading more V.E. Schwab. Nothing has sounded interesting enough until now, so hopefully I can read that soon. I also have Crown of Coral and Pearl. This seems to be a fantasy that I saw when I was scrolling my library list, and I haven't heard anyone talk about this book at all, but I was really intrigued by the cover. I'm just really in the mood for fantasy. You know, once November, December, January, February come around, I'm just in the fantasy mood. That's when I read the most fantasy. So I'm gonna give it a go. We'll see if I like it, and then I'll read more, perhaps. Another book that I have on here is A Ghost Arrives by Abe Moss. Now, I really like Abe Moss. I read his book called Gills, and I really liked it, so I really want to read his newest release. Plus, I really want to continue reading from indie authors and reviewing indie books. I've been having such a good time doing that, and I love kind of introducing those books to a wider audience. Another book that I found really interesting, that will be the last book that I talk about for today, is called Supertide by Stephen F. Freeman, and it's about a end of the world apocalyptic story where there's like a giant tsunami. It comes and I think it just kills everyone, and you know, that's the story as far as I know. I love end of the world books like that. There was a book that I read a long time ago called Rogue Wave, which was essentially about the same thing, and it freaked me out. I read it throughout the entire night. I couldn't put it down, and I just love a good scary realistic book like that. Probably gonna give me nightmares, but I'm gonna read it anyway. Anyway, those are all the books that I have on my Kindle that I'm interested in reading sometime soon. Also, happy Thanksgiving! If I don't upload again soon in the next couple of days, happy Thanksgiving! I hope you're doing well, I hope you're doing good, I hope you are staying safe, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving meal filled of wonderful mashed potatoes. I'm so excited for mashed potatoes. I will be making mashed potatoes on Thanksgiving, and you don't care about that, but I really like mashed potatoes. Anyway, that's all I have to say for today. You have a good one, and I'll see you later. Bye.